This video is going to show you how to do the drawing set for the puzzle cube. So once we've created all of our parts, we were able to create our assembly. Once we created our assembly, we were able to create our explosion. Now, once we have all of that stuff done, we can create the professional documentation that goes along with our project. What I have done is in each of your Z drive folders, I've added this FHS_A IDW. If you go ahead and open that, say OK. If you get an additional error message that pops up, there should be a skip or a skip all. Select that and then this should open up just fine. But this is the sheet that you are going to create your IDWs off of. What I would like you to do first is once you've opened this file, you're going to go to your application menu, select Save As, and make sure you save it into your Puzzle Cube folder and change the name to Puzzle Cube. The reason for this is I would like to leave this FHSA as kind of a template that we can use, and that way we have a separate file specifically for our Puzzle Cube. Alright? But anyway, what we're looking at here is a sheet of paper. So if we look at our browser, sheet 1 is the white page that you're seeing. On that white page currently is the default border, which is that area there, and this title block. Okay? If I hit the plus mark next to the title block, I get field text. If I double click on field text, that's how I'm going to type in my name, the fact that it's, 7th hour, right? The fact that this is going to be my Puzzle Cube assembly. I don't know what the scale is going to be, but I'm going to guess it's 1:1 for right now. I can always come back and change it. And that this is sheet 1 of what should be 6, because I should have 5 parts that I'll end up doing my multi-view. But as soon as I click OK, notice all of that information pops up into my title block. So if I screw something up or if I have to come in and change something, I'm just going into my browser, double clicking on field text, and I can make the change. So because I'm already there, I'm going to leave that one blank because I don't know if 1:1 is going to end up being correct. But what we have to do is place views or images onto our page before we can annotate them. How I do that is under Place Views tab, my first command is Base. This allows me to select the base view or just whatever it is that I'm wanting to look at. So little folder allows me to verify that I'm working out of my Z drive, the correct folder, the Puzzle Cube. The one thing you may need to change is this files of type. I would make sure it's saying Inventor files so that way you can see all of them and not just IPTs or not just IAMs or whatever. But I'm going to do my assembly first. Okay. Notice it's giving me a preview. I do not want a front view of my assembly. I want an isometric. So on this view cube, I'm going to change the view. 1/2 inch scale is pretty small. So I'm going to try to make it a 1:1. That looks like it's going to fit on my page. I'm clicking and holding and I'm dragging. Alright. I'm going to have more than just my assembly placed on this page. So I'm going to move it off to the right. I could also just say OK and move it after I do that. So maybe I'll tuck it up over here in the right hand corner. Now, if yours comes in where you're not seeing the color, simply double click and it's this button right here. That turns it on or off in terms of whether or not the isometric is shaded. I will say that with your documentation, anytime you're showing me an isometric view opposed to a two-dimensional view, you do want to have it shaded. So the other base view that I'm going to have in this image is my explosion. It just happens that it pulled up for me. I can probably increase the scale slightly. I'll try a 1/2 inch. And we'll make sure that it's shaded and say OK. So those are the two views that I need for my first page. And that's how we place those base views. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click New Sheet. This prompt entry is not for the sheet that I'm looking at, but the next sheet. So I'm just going to say OK because I know I can get back to it and change the title block information later. But once we have sheet 1 is showing our assembly and our explosions, sheets 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are going to show the individual multi-views of the parts that we use. So when I say base view, this time I'm going to go ahead and select the first part alphabetically, because that's probably the way that I put them into my assembly. So if I choose the black part, this time I do want a front view. I can probably increase the scale at least to 3/4, if not 1:1. And this is my front view, so I want it kind of tucked to the lower left-hand corner of my page. And this time, I'm actually off my front view going to project additional views. So if I scroll my cursor up and click, it's going to project a top view for me. If I go to the right and click, it's going to project a right side view for me. If I click up and to the right, I get that isometric. So once I've clicked and placed the views that I want, I can right-click and say OK, or Enter, or whatever. And what this does is this creates the multi-view in a way that those views are linked together, they're aligned the way that I want them, and then I can come in and off my isometric, go ahead and make it shaded. So that will start us with simply placing the views that we need. So I would do New Sheet. Again, I can always go back to my title block information. A base view, I select the file that I want to use. Alright, I change it to be a scale that I think will work. And if I need to project additional views, I can go ahead and do that. And I can always go back into that view and change the scale or change whether or not it's shaded.